feel like everybody kind of expected, like, when you're new to this Cup car, you're just going to spin, like, because all the really good guys sometimes do it.
Oh,
So if you're not, if you're new, like, you're more susceptible to spin. So I was just like, all right, well, everybody expects me to either be slow or spin.
Hello and welcome to episode 16 of Mics Are Hot on Racing America. I'm Alanis King, and alongside me is the ever wonderful Monica Palumbo.
What's up, party people? I don't know. I just
you.
felt like saying that. That just came out. How are we doing?
Things just come out of your mouth just like randomly. You're just like, hello, party people. And I love that it changes every week. Like, there's just always a different line, and I think it's beautiful.
What's so funny, because I'm so used to being in front of a live audience, so I'm like, I need a reaction. There's nobody here.
Hello, Kansas. And it's like, we're not in Kansas, Monica.
Anymore. No, we're North Carolina.
Thank you all for joining us, no matter whether you're in Kansas or somewhere else. We have lots to discuss today, but before that, we should tell you who our guest is.
Yes, this is very exciting. It's up-and-comer Carson Hocevar, who we all love, who's very vocal on social media, ran full-time in trucks, skipped over Xfinity, now a full-time Cup Series driver with Spire. So he'll be joining us here in a little bit.
Yes, and that matches the theme of our show, which is up-and-comers. And I think Carson Hocevar is very interesting because he has done so well so quickly and risen to the top really, really fast. I think one of the people we've seen do this over the years was someone like Joey Logano, who is now extremely successful in the Cup Series. And it's just very interesting to watch people fast track themselves to the Cup Series instead of taking that slow ladder to the top,
Yeah, I agree. He's been really great to see. I know when he finally got his first Truck Series win last year, the crowd went bonkers because even just as a person, his personality is very relatable. He makes himself available to fans. He communicates with fans online. He showcases his life. And so I think that a lot of fans are drawn to him. But yeah, he's had a quick career, quick rise in his career. That's for sure.
And I think people can relate to him because he's very online. He's always posted memes. He's always posting about current events. He responds to people. This is something that was very common back in the day when Twitter was new, right? You saw drivers engaging with people a lot, making jokes, having fun.
And some actually scared too.
Yeah, and some a little scared too. You get less of that these days. And I think that is a product of things just becoming more strict. You want to have this polished online presence. And also the more years that go by, the more society in general just has so many distractions. Like, it's hard to be on every social media platform. It's hard to be posting stuff when you have so many other things to do. So this is something we don't see nearly as much anymore. A driver just online, talking with people, making memes, doing their thing. And we've seen that in Carson's campaign to be voted into the All-Star race with the fan vote.
Yeah, he's done a great job, I think, really putting himself out there. I know we keep using the word personality, but he's humanized himself, right? There's a lot of drivers, and we've talked about this before, they have a whole team, like a whole social media team, right, that can film and edit and put together a package and put it out there for the public. But Carson seems like one of us where we're like, oh, hold on, let me tweet this out or get this out, or let me take a video, or just vote for me. I think he's humanized himself, made himself very relatable, and taken this whole All-Star fan vote by storm. Right? I mean, it's so cool to see.
It was so fun it's been so fun to just see him, and Justin Haley, really. Justin Haley's also been going wild with the campaigning. To see them campaign so hard to get voted in, because for so many years, the All-Star fan vote was just like, you kind of knew who it was going to be, just depending on the crop of drivers. There was always going to be a standout who got the vote. It's a little more even these days, right? Especially with the power of the internet, being able to campaign people and get them to vote for you.
Yeah. I
It's
agree. Or normally, like you said, it would be, if NASCAR's most popular driver or whoever is, maybe even more of a veteran too. They've been around a
Yep.
little bit longer, but you have this rookie out there that's like, hey, remember me?
Look at
Vote for me.
me.
I can do it too. And I'm voting for him.
Oh, that's so fun. It's been very fun to watch. But aside from the All-Star race, we have so many little news topics to discuss. So many hot topics, especially from the weekend. But first, I want to ask Monica, you were at Darlington, and it
Yeah.
was the last race of right now for you because you are on baby watch, aren't you?
I am. It's so crazy to think about. Yeah, I have like 20 something days left, 23 or 22 days left if he makes it that long. So, yeah, Darlington was my last race. It was drivable in case something happened. But and I'm so sad to be missing North Wilkesboro and Charlotte this in May. But Darlington's awesome. It's throwback weekend. They had legends there. NASCAR alumni were there. Drivers were wearing these cool old school vibe fire suits, and the paint schemes were thrown back. And it's just my favorite. It was so cool to see. I don't know if you saw online Terry Labonte dressed up with Kyle Larson. They won
Yes.
Best in Show. But even Parker Raslaf, I always butcher his last name. I keep wanting to call him Razclaff, but it's
My husband was in an iRacing league with him. I don't know if I've mentioned
yes.
this on here. And my husband actually had to quit the league because Parker Retzlaff just killed everybody every week. Like he
course
was
he
just
did.
so much faster. My husband was like, he was like, this is a really good benchmark, but can it be a benchmark when he is so far ahead of every single
Right.
person in this league?
And he's so good in real life too.
So
I mean,
good.
I've always said that about him. He's like this underdog and he's quiet, but watch out for Parker Reslaf.
You got it. You got it.
Reslaf.
I think you put like an emphasis on the T. I'm gonna
What is
check.
that? So I just call him Parker when I interview him, but
Parker.
but he had the skull paint scheme that threw it back to Harry Gant. I mean, it's just it was just so cool to see.
Do you have like very sentimental reflections on your life? So were you at Darlington going, this is like my last time at the track being
Yeah.
Big Mama?
Being Big Mama was out there. Yeah, and it was
Like you're just gonna
Mother's Day.
be normal sized Mama next time. Like,
Hopefully. But yeah, it was Mother's Day, and I was, but you're hormonal at this, or I'm hormonal at this point. So it's like, oh, it's Mother's Day. It's my last race where I have a child, and he's at the track with me. He's been traveling with me all season. Next time I go, I'm going to be childless.
you're gonna be all alone.
I'm going to be all alone. No more kicking. But
You're gonna have no one
so-
to talk to.
Exactly. Nobody waking me up at night. But no, it was awesome. I love seeing all the legends out there too. A lot of Hall of Famers, and it was really cool. What about you? How are you? Because you started a new gig.
I did.
First off, Alanis has like 100 jobs. I don't know how she keeps them all straight.
I actually have fewer now because I started a new full-time job. So I just started this new full-time job that branches cars and motorsports. So at the beginning of my career, I had a job at a place called Jalopnik where I did cars and motorsports. Then I moved to Business Insider where I could only do cars. So I freelanced all my motorsport stuff, right? So I just had a million little things going on all the time. And then I moved to another job called Cars and Bids, which was only cars again. So I had a million little
Wow.
motorsports things going on. My new job, my new full-time job is cars and motorsports. So I only have my full-time job at the Motorsport Network, which
I only have
my full-time job at the Motorsport Network where I'm editor at large. So that's for Motor One, motorsport.com, and Inside EVs. I'm sure tons of people listening to this are very familiar with motorsport.com. So I'll be there as my full-time job. I have my YouTube channel on the side. So I'll be doing YouTube. I'm waking up literally like 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays to film, selling sponsorship at night,
goodness.
scheduling the email for the next day, right? And then I also have this podcast. So now I only have 3 main jobs.
Only.
Only 3.
You're
Only
just
3.
a little bit busy.
I'm just a little bit busy, but the job has been really fun so far. My first week, I went to the Miami Grand Prix, and I cannot remember because I hit my head. I don't remember if I told you that I fell in the shower. Okay, I hit my head, so I've kind of forgotten half the things that have happened since
I
then.
saw a bruise of evidence too on
It's
your
still
arm.
there. It's still there. It
Woo!
looks way better. Okay. It looks way better, but I hit every part of my body, including my head. And that was my
Hmm.
first week on the job. And I had to go to work after that. And I was like, I'm dizzy and I can't really walk very well. But how weird would it be to call and say I fell in the shower on my first week of work? I was like, no, I can't do that. So
So
I
you
just
powered through?
yeah, I just went and I was dizzy. I was kind of like
Oh my
wobbly on my
goodness.
feet. And I was showing everybody the formation of my bruise, and they were like, "Yeah, you seem pretty dizzy." And I was like, "Yeah, I am pretty dizzy."
Are you
But
okay now?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I don't think I got a concussion. I think I'm okay, but it was rough. It was a very hard fall. It was such a hard fall that I was just laying there and I was like, yeah, that hurt. And then I had to like scoot in and I was sitting in the hot water and I turned the hot water all the way to boiling because it was like particularly boiling and I was like, if I just make it so hot that I distract from the pain, I can stand up and get out. So
Oh
I just
my
like
word,
heated my
Alanis.
body up until I couldn't really feel the bruise pain anymore. And then I got up and I went to work.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
my first week of work. But it was a fun first week aside from falling. I am going to the Nürburgring 24-hour in Germany for work. And then I am going to the F1 Canadian
Ooh,
Grand Prix right after that. So
amazing.
it's exciting. I'm also doing the Indy 500 for my YouTube channel. So I've got like a
You're
lot of fun stuff
busy.
going on. I'm very busy, but we're all very busy. Monica's very busy. Like we've got a lot going on, right?
It keeps life fun.
It keeps life
We're
interesting.
not boring.
I also feel like I really, really love this new job because they're just allowing me to do what topics interest me because we have 3 properties. So we have motorsports, cars, and electric cars. So whatever I feel like talking about or writing about or doing stuff about at the time, I can do it. And
That's
then on my
awesome.
YouTube channel, I don't have to come up with like detailed pitches for stuff. I can just do whatever I want to do. So this past weekend, I really wanted to let the singer of my favorite band drive a car with me. I had a Ford Mustang Dark Horse. It was so much fun. I called Ford and I said, "Can the singer of my favorite band drive the car with me and review it?" And Ford said, "Yeah." And I don't have to write a story about that. I can just put it on my YouTube channel and it's me and my favorite
Perfect.
like literally my favorite singer of my favorite band reviewing a car together. And he had so much fun. He had not driven a stick in 15 years and he immediately jumped back into it. He was great at driving it. He was like, "I'm going to have to go home and literally buy a car with a manual transmission because I forgot how much I liked this." We had the best day. And then I
So
went
is
to
he
his
local?
concert. No, he lives in Arizona, but they're touring right now.
I
So
gotcha.
my favorite band is Escape the Fate, and the singer is Craig Mabbitt, and they're touring with a thing called Emo Orchestra. So they take classic emo songs and play them with a full orchestra. It's wild.
Ooh.
So we went to the show after. So we spent the day driving with Craig and we go to the concert afterward and like we're singing these classic emo songs. And of course, like I'm front row, like on the railing standing there. And because Craig and I had hung out all day, like we were like singing the songs at each other and like
Oh,
pointing at each other. And it was so sweet. And I was like, oh, this is so nice and
that's going
fun.
to
And
be
we just
hard
had
for
such a
anything
good
else to
day.
live up to that. That's
We just had
awesome.
we had such a good time. He had such a good time, and we filmed it for the YouTube channel. So my husband was with me. The band and orchestra's social person came and brought a drone, so we got to do all kinds of footage and have the best time. And my husband is in the other room editing the video right now.
Nice. Okay, so we'll be seeing that one soon.
Yeah, so that was my very long answer about how I am enjoying my life and job right now.
She's very happy, and we like that.
Oh, thank you. How are you enjoying your life right now, Monica?
Life is good. Yeah, just into the school as the parents who are watching. May is filled with constant activities at school where they would like the parents to be there. So I feel like every other day I'm there for something.
Mhm.
And then they're out of school. Like next week is their last week. And then it's they're out for summer. So we all have like, can you call it summeritis? Everybody's
Oh
ready
man,
for
that sounds
just
great.
things to be over and to not
Yeah.
have to get up at 6 in the morning and well, which I will be with the baby, but get up and, get their lunches ready and get them off to school and homework and all the things and sports and life's good. Yeah. It's
I
just
think it's
busy.
also really nice timing that your pregnancy is ending right as school is getting out because the whole family gets to like be together
I
and be
timed
with the
it
baby.
perfectly. Even though
You
it's a
timed it
surprise,
so
I
well.
timed it perfectly.
You had that down,
I
Monica.
mean, yeah, I thought about that.
You thought about that.
Yeah.
So back to Darlington. The finish was absolutely wild. Okay. We
Yeah.
had this 3-car race for the win. It was Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, and Tyler Reddick. And if you didn't watch the race and you didn't see how it played out, basically Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher were racing at the front, right? And Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski are teammates. Tyler Reddick was racing by himself. He did not have a teammate up there helping him at the time. So Chris and Tyler are racing. They're doing their thing, trading back and forth. Brad enters the mix and they're all racing together. And then there is one point at which Tyler makes a dive on Chris Buescher for position. And it didn't work. The dive didn't work. And he tried to catch the car, but he couldn't catch the car. So he slid up into Chris Buescher, taking them both out of contention for the win, basically. Brad drives by and he's like, all right, I'm out of here. And Brad wins the race. His first win in several years, his first win as the owner of his race team, as the co-owner of his race team. So it was a huge deal, but we had this fiery ending, right? Because Chris Buescher just lost the closest finish in NASCAR history.
Literally the week before.
Literally the week before. And then he's racing for the win here. And Tyler made an honest mistake, but Chris Buescher was very, very mad because he just lost 2 races in a row. And winning a race means a lot in modern NASCAR because it qualifies you for the playoffs.
And they're very hard to win.
Yes.
And like, he has probably pent up energy from the week before. He said that this in several interviews. He's replayed that finish. I mean, if you think about it, I know we've all seen the angles, but there are a few angles that are a little questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, he could be in the playoffs, right? So there's a lot of probably anger, energy, all the feels, right? He's due for a win too. Chris is.
He really is.
Of course, Brad was too. But yeah, Tyler did make an honest mistake. He's a racer. He was doing his job. His job is to win races. But I also have to say, I understand where Chris is coming from, right? Tyler's already in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think it was a fair argument. I honestly enjoy seeing the passion.
I also enjoy seeing the passion, and I think it just really displayed how Tyler at his current age just really keeps his cool. Like Tyler will even admit when he was younger, like he would get kind of mad sometimes, right? But especially now as a Cup Series driver, Tyler is very self-reflective and he'll go, I messed up. I am very sorry. That's on me. Instead of like arguing back, right? He very much just said, I'm sorry. I messed up. And I think that's a big thing to do, especially right after it happened, because obviously you messed up, right? But there's someone who's a lot bigger than you in your face, yelling at you, doing their thing, and to just go, yeah, you're right. That's totally valid. You're right to be mad. I think is pretty mature because you don't always see that.
I agree. You're right. Yeah, there are a lot of drivers that would get defensive or they're in the heat of the moment, literally just getting out of the car. He kept his cool about it, which says a lot.
We've also had a ton of TV news lately. There have been developments, more information on the new TV package where we're going to have several networks sharing the season. You're going to have that Amazon Prime little run, right? Lots of TV news. Race Hub is ending after about 15 years on the air. And also, Jimmie Johnson is joining the NBC coverage for 4 races this year, including he's going to be at the Indy 500.
Yeah. And out in Phoenix for the
And
championship
in
race.
Phoenix for the championship.
You know, I'm excited to see him on air. You know,
I'm so
everyone always
excited.
calls him vanilla, right? Because his answers are he's just
Disagree.
so perfect, right? And so I think this will really give him an opportunity to show some personality and show who, you know, and then he has in interviews, but it's an elongated amount of time on air in front of a bigger crowd.
I fully agree because, you know, you're right. Jimmie Johnson is fully polished. When you talk to Jimmie, there are no mistakes. There is no deviating. He is completely polished. And that's just a result of being in the spotlight for many, many years of your life, right? He's also perfectly polished. Like he's been perfectly polished his whole life while driving. That's just his personality. And people will say that's a lack of personality. No, that is his personality.
It truly is who he is.
How do you win 5 cup championships in a row without being just like perfect at what you're doing?
I know.
Really?
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
And I am very interested to see him on the broadcast. I think Jimmie Johnson has a lot of insight. I think he's very interesting. He's very good at talking about what's going on. I actually think a big missed opportunity, which I'm going to reach out and try to write a story about. I think a big missed opportunity that I have not seen people report about is Jimmie's opinions on the next gen car versus the cars he drove for so long, because
Mhm.
so many people are focusing on Jimmie struggling in the next gen car. Like, oh, Jimmie spun. Oh, Jimmie's not running
So we
as well.
did ask him this.
Okay. I'm very interested because I would love to know his exact breakdown of why this car is so hard to drive. I love when drivers tell me exactly how a car drives. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. He did this in a live interview. We did a NASCAR Trackside Live in Dover, and we had
Yeah.
Jimmie Johnson and Martin Truex Jr., you know, 2 veterans of the sport. And so Jimmie was racing in Dover. He has, oh gosh, I think it was like 11 wins there, something crazy, like the winningest driver at Dover, but it wasn't in the next gen car.
No.
And so that was the question of, well, how is it in there compared to the car you won so many times in? And it's Jimmie actually is a real person, guys. He's struggling.
He's a
He was saying
person.
how hard it was, and it truly is such a learning curve, and he's not in it consistently, right? To own his craft. So it's just he's, you know, catching up each time as he's getting behind the wheel.
Yeah, I think there are 2 main ways I feel about this. The first one, very short and sweet. When I talked to Dale Jr. about helping bring back North Wilkesboro Speedway, I said, would you try to run a cup race there? And he said, absolutely not. If you are not running full time in the Cup Series, you cannot be competitive. It's so close. They run so many races. I would get out there and be bad. Like that's what he was saying. He was like, I would get out there and I would not be competitive. It's just even if you're used to the car, these people are running 38 races a year with the All-Star and the Clash. You're not at their level if you're not running 38 races a year. And when you're in your late 40s, you don't want to run 38 races a year. You just don't. It makes sense. But Dale Jr. said flat, no, there's no way. It does not matter if the nostalgia is there. It does not matter how badly I want to run it. I'm not running the Cup car. I'm just not. And my second point with the Jimmie Johnson criticism is if you criticize Jimmie Johnson, who's one of the best race car drivers to ever live and has won 5 Cup Series championships in a row, something that will likely never be done again, what hope is there for you to do something you're not perfect at?
I think it takes a lot of courage for him to get out there, right? I mean,
it does.
And as a co-owner of a team, I mean, you're really putting yourself out there. So kudos to him for doing that. And the fans enjoy seeing him back at the track. He brings a huge crowd when he makes appearances. And he knows he's probably not going to win. I hate to say that, but he's out there and he's doing it.
That's the thing. You need to do the things you want to do and the things you enjoy. And that's what I talked to when people were criticizing Jimmie Johnson on his IndyCar series performance. I said, what does racing IndyCar mean to you? Like, what does the criticism mean? And he said, I'm doing this because I've always wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be good at it. I just want to do it. Right. And at the end of the day, you're very good at it. If you're out there competing, you're very good at it. But people should be able to do things they are not perfect at, because if you can't do that, then what are we here for? Right.
Yeah.
If you can't just do things you want to do and things you enjoy, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, he's won basically, he has 7 championships.
Yeah.
When he was in the Cup Series full time, he clearly had an amazing career, and now he's living his life. He's wearing so many hats. He's dad, right? Husband. They want to travel. They're over in London for a year or however long, enjoying a different culture and experience. He ran IndyCar. Now he's about to be in the booth. He's co-owning a team. There's so many hats. So how can you win everything when you're truly enjoying all the things?
You are so right. And we have the Coke 600 coming up very soon. And it is going to a new TV home next year with Prime Video. So what are we thinking about Prime Video taking over this stretch of races and the Earnhardt docuseries?
It's 2024. It's just only to me opening doors for a bigger audience, right? Or a different audience. And this is life. It's a different season that we're in racing. Everything from changing the car, changing the schedule, changing, viewership, network, there's a lot of change. I think it's very innovative.
I fully agree. And speaking of innovation and change and new audiences, we have Carson Hocevar coming up. How are you feeling, Monica?
I'm excited to talk to him. What about you? Up and coming driver. He's going to have a lot to say.
Oh, I am so stoked. I wanted to just talk to him about his memes.
Let's do it.
And now joining us is Carson Hocevar. Hello, Carson.
Hi, Alanis. How are you?
I am doing all right. I had a big weekend. I had a fun sports car all weekend, and now I have a truck in my driveway to review. So I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
All right, we're going to start with the obvious. This is your first full-time season in the Cup Series. How's it going?
It's been okay. Our stuff's been pretty solid. We've had some decent runs. It's just, team's still very new. We don't have all the resources and everything. So it's just trying to figure out, how to best navigate the tools we do have. That I think we're going to be a lot better once we hit the halfway point of the year and start going to these racetracks a second time. And so excited to get to that portion. But in the meantime, I think we've done pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, you're building that notebook, that's for sure. And then there was this big announcement this past week about Michael McDowell joining you guys, which is super exciting. How do you guys feel about that, especially since, he's a Daytona 500 winner. He's a veteran in this sport and has a lot of information to give, knowledge to share, I should say.
Yeah, it'll be big. It'll be huge just with all the info that, he's built over there and just info of how to make the race cars go fast and how to win races and just some setup knowledge and info that way that I think is really just going to help us out. And I think as a whole, I think we expected to run really solid here in 2 to 3 years time. That with Michael's addition and as a team, I think that's just going to speed up our process, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you talked about the newness of Spire, and Spire's had a very quick rise to the top, being in the Cup Series, being a competitive team. But race teams have different cultures and atmospheres, and I feel like I don't have a good idea of Spire's atmosphere yet. What's it like to work there every day?
I mean, it's super, I don't know, as good as you can make it. We have, lunch for the whole shop, whether you're the, janitor, the cleaning crew, or crew chief, car chief, upper management, everything.
I know where I'm going for lunch.
I'm like every day, every single day.
Every
Okay.
Wednesday. But I mean, there's just countless, breakfasts, here and there. When we win a race, there's almost 2 things of lunch. It's just, I mean, there's, a really good
awesome.
bonus program. There's a reason a lot of people are coming over and wanting to work here. That that's the biggest part, is just they know how to treat people right. They, they don't have a lot of extra to spend and blow. They need to make everything count. But they don't cut corners on the stuff that, you know, treats their people and personnel. And, that's really the difference maker.
Yeah, they got to keep everybody happy. That's for sure. I want to know too, how's it like between Corey LaJoy and Zane Smith and y'all's relationship? Or do you ever have time to get together and strategize or bond? I know everybody's schedule is insanely crazy.
Yeah, it's, we have, you know, but if we're not working here in the shop, Zane and I work really close. Like with Josh Wise, we're set up, similar karting times and workouts and whatnot. Um, Corey, is always, sometimes in here, and, we do our meetings and, kind of have our study groups per se. So we, work together as, drivers as close as we kind of can. Our teams work a lot closer. They're here every single day. Their offices are right next to each other. Zane's, got stuff on his plate with his life, still trying to balance that out. Corey's obviously got a family and whatnot. So sometimes our times don't mix, but other than those meetings and when we're at the racetrack, but, the teams themselves are really just always together. Their cubicles, their cars are always obviously right next to each other. So, they work really close.
Yeah, Corey's a little busy, right, with stacking pennies. And then his wife is due, I think, the same time I am. We're like on the same schedule. We've been texting each other, Kelly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's so soon too. He's going to be even busier.
I know, watch out.
And so, Carson, you're still very, very early in your career. You ran full-time in trucks, then you had some Xfinity starts, and you pretty much dove straight into the Cup Series. How different is this car? It's a completely different vehicle. You go from the 4-speed H-pattern manual to the sequential. You have different handling. How has it been to adapt to this new car, and how different is it?
I mean, it's very different. I don't know the good analogy to think of it. I mean, it's just like you got your iPhone and then, you skipped 5 generations and got a new one and wondered why it was all different. It's the same sort of principles with all new features and all new ways to use it. So that's the biggest thing is, it's still race cars, still the simple basic stuff. It's just, there's a lot of different components that you don't normally think of. You got this big underwing and sequential shifter and, just so many different, things, not a lot of side force, but the bodies can take a lot of hits. So just so many different little things that for me, my style of driving kind of fits, sort of what it takes to run good in these Cup cars. So that's really just sped up my learning curve, I think, a little bit, and allowed me to be a little bit more creative and whatnot.
Yeah, I think you explained it in a way that someone like me would understand, right? Especially with the technology explanation. But I know you had your first Cup Series start because you filled in a few times last season. Gateway, was it Gateway? Yeah. But then this year you were able to come on full time and you had your first Daytona 500 experience, which I feel like as a driver is probably the biggest start of their life, right? As far as being your first Cup Series start for the Daytona 500. But I want to know what it was like for you, that whole experience, because the fan experience, the vibe, the energy, everything's so different for that particular race.
Yeah, it was, I mean, for me, it was very different just for the, I didn't get the 100% true experience because it was on a Monday.
Yes.
So it wasn't 100%, normal Daytona 500, but, still a lot of people and everything. And it was really cool. Finished 4th in our duel, which was really cool. It was big for us. It was start the year, you're starting the 500 already with some points in the bank and everything. And then we got taken out like lap 5, which really sucked. But just seeing how many people were in the stands and how many people were around and just how big of a deal that race is was really cool. And, hopefully we can have a way better run next time around.
Well, you're not alone in Daytona. It seems like a lot of people get caught up in a big one there.
Yeah, and I also remember turning on the TV on Monday and going, "Oh, good! Tons of people stayed. Like that was good. It was a pretty good crowd." Okay,
They really did.
I have a two-parter. One, I do want to go back to the cup car versus the truck because I really like asking people to put me in the car with you. Like, tell me how the truck behaves when you're driving it, and then tell me how the cup car behaves. I'm just so fascinated by the effect of air, how other cars around you affect your driving, just how it feels to drive the car. I just love talking about that. So, can you describe them both for me?
Yeah, the truck, it has a really wedge skewed body. So the right rear quarter panel is way out. The left side's way sped up. So all the air is sped up on the left side, and all the air is slowed down on the right side. Which in dirty air, it makes when you have your left headlight out, it puts all that fast air that comes from the left off the car in front and puts on your front, which actually almost creates more front downforce. So very rarely do you ever get that. But you can kind of get yourself where you can get more downforce than the guy ahead of you, which is always huge. But the truck for me, I was always, on the razor edge just because that right rear quarter panel is so big, the truck bed's so long that they're really hard to kind of spin out. I don't like. They're really hard, like, because when you get sideways a lot of times it just catches, like, because it slows the air so far down so much that it kind of just catches it and either stops you in your track, slows you down, or like straightens you back out because all the air is going to the right rear, so it flicks you back. So you're just kind of always just playing in that area just because you can kind of get away with it, where the cup car, the power and how much throttle you have is really similar to the truck, actually. How I describe it is just imagine you take that big, huge right rear quarter panel, all that side, and you just put it underneath the cup car. Like you rip it off and you put it underneath and you just square the thing up. And it's kind of makes a lot more sense if you think about it like that, of how to drive them. Like if you just like, because as a driver, you just manipulate all your air and you manipulate it on the right rear. Well, if you just know it's underneath, you just try and figure out how you can manipulate the underneath part.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
My second part is in your transition to the Cup Series, so far, what would you praise yourself on? What have you done well, and what would you critique?
We haven't really crashed.
That's good.
That's good. We haven't really made a lot of mistakes. I haven't really spent on pit road at all. Just trying to, just finish all the races more than anything. Gateway, like last year when I first drove the cup car, the only thing I was nervous about was to get in and be slow. I wasn't really worried if we crashed or I made a mistake or spun out or anything. Like, I feel like everybody kind of expected, like, when you're new to this cup car, you're just going to spin, like, because all the really good guys sometimes do it. If you're not, if you're new, like, you're more susceptible to spin. So I was just like, all right, well, everybody expects me to either be slow or spin. So my bar is really low. So I just started being super creative and driving it. Found a lot of speed. So that's one thing that I think has been really good, is just constantly just trying to be creative and find new lines. Our cars aren't, the greatest yet or anything like that. So we have to work harder on the box, but also in the seat. Like, I have to work harder than a handful of guys. Like, that sometimes they have more grip or they have better aero. So you just have to work harder and find different options that the top guys don't have to find, because they can just make speed.
Yeah, for sure. And Monica and I have a few questions about the internet and being a person in the spotlight. So I'll start with, you are very online and you are pretty good at being online. You always have all these memes and references, and they're current and they're funny. Do you think that helps you with fans?
Probably. I don't really have a PR person that posts for me.
That's actually, I was curious about that because
I
they're
don't
really
really
good. They're
have
like
one.
really
They
good.
are.
Like at 9 times out of 10, it's me.
Top
Like
tier.
like I do all my Facebook posts basically. I do all my Twitter, Instagram. I basically do it all. It's almost an easy tell if it's not me,
Yeah.
because the post probably doesn't
Totally.
do very well. But also too, I don't I have bad grammar. I tweet as if it's a text with no caps, no punctuation. Um, and those are my captions and everything. Facebook, I clean it up, but everything else, I just look like it's a text because I
I
wanted
love
to make
it.
sure it's from me.
Well, we have a bunch of fan questions they were dying to ask you. So I'm going to kick it off with, let's see if I get this person's name right. It's Egg Actually. Is that
Oh,
right,
it's
Alanis?
egg actually. That's what
Okay.
I'm seeing.
It's Egg Actually. Okay. He wants to know, now that I've voted for you in the All-Star race, can you run for town council for my hometown here in the UK? Ha ha ha. Or really what he wants to know is your best snack post race.
My best snack post race.
Or do you have
Um,
like a go-to after the
yeah,
race?
I normally just get a peanut butter and jelly.
Oh,
Honestly,
that's good.
I
That is
just
a
do a
good
peanut
move.
butter and jelly with chocolate milk.
Oh,
Yum. I just
oh,
downed the
But
peanut butter and jelly before this interview. They're
dang
so
it.
good.
Now I'm back to thinking about the fried peanut butter and jellies at the F1 Vegas race. And I can't even finish this. Like, I've got to think about those. Like,
You're way
oh,
too fancy for us, Alanis.
no, they were fried, okay? And no one was eating the free food at the Vegas F1 race. And they would just give you 6 of them, right? And you're like, I'm going to eat 6 fried peanut butter and jellies. Why not? It's midnight and I'm in Vegas. Let's go. Anyway, now I'm thinking about that. That's awful.
Sounds
This is
good.
from Keith Hayes. What race do you see as your best chance for a playoff berth?
Obviously Daytona would be a shot. I don't know. I feel like we're could be good kind of anywhere in this car. It's so odd of where you can be good and where you can't be. So we all have the same puzzle pieces. Just if we hit it right or get the right track position or right strategy. Um, I obviously, for me, love the low grip. Tracks where it's a little bit more technical. But I mean, there's just a handful of ways that we could put ourselves in a decent spot, whether yellow comes out or all of a sudden we just hit it and miss it. So, but obviously Daytona would be statistically the obvious answer.
Okay, this is from 2 guys. They want to know the same thing. Bill Pickerill.
I love that they want to know the same
They
thing.
we're on this food conversation, and the other person is Two Side Sports. They want to know what is in your refrigerator right now, and then are you able to take a tour of your motor coach when you get back to the track? They're
I
getting
don't have
personal.
I don't have a motor coach. I very much take the hotel rooms this team gives me.
Do you get hotel points?
I'm sure Spire does.
Yeah.
What's in my fridge now? I think a bunch of water, probably a bunch of expired food.
That makes
I don't
sense.
know. Like
Chocolate
I
milk.
probably have some strawberry lemonade somewhere.
Okay.
That's probably about it. Like that's probably all I have. I don't grocery shop. I don't cook. I don't do anything. Like I either DoorDash or go out to eat 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Life on the road as a race car driver. That makes sense.
Okay, our next one is from Kelly Mead, and it's about being tall and getting in a race car. And so Kelly's question is it hard to get in a race car? And my addition to that question is there anything about being tall once you're in a race car that affects how you drive and also how you sub for other drivers, how you just do the logistics of your job?
Yeah, I mean it's not the easiest thing to do. Like I know I got a call from Legacy at Michigan when Noah was first suspended. I was there for the Xfinity race. Obviously, I was from there, and they potentially wanted me to sub, and they put Josh in just because they knew he would fit.
Yeah.
Um, So it wasn't until 2 weeks, 3 weeks later that finally they could build. They could have enough time to put seat rails in and do everything for me. So it'd be really hard for me to sub for anybody, but also too kind of hard for anybody to sub for me too. So
Oh yeah.
hopefully that never happens. But yeah, it's difficult that way just because everything kind of has to be custom. Um, Now I know when I run dirt, it's tough to get in the midgets and whatnot. For me,
Your knees are like coming up here
really
trying to
frustrating because I
squeeze
love
me.
driving those race cars, but they make it very, very miserable to sit in and be in until I'm out there and forget about it. But
Yeah.
Okay, just logistically, does your seat sit lower or do you just have to look down? Like logistically, what's going on in the car?
no, my torso's like not anything crazy.
Oh, so
It's
it's
just
all legs, so you
it's
sit
mainly
further
legs,
back.
which is really tough. Makes
Okay.
it really tough for the midget and like sprint cars and things like that. Um, because like there's only so much leg room in there.
Okay, this question is from Jay Gifford Jr. Do you think it hurt you by skipping the Xfinity series, going straight from, I'm sure you get asked this all the time, going from trucks to cup, and I know you did do some Xfinity last year too.
Um, no, I don't. I don't feel like I missed anything. Xfinity car felt way more foreign to me. It took me a lot longer to figure out the Xfinity car than it did the Cup car. I mean, the Xfinity car doesn't do anything good, which makes it tough to drive. It doesn't do anything good. It doesn't brake good. It doesn't turn good. Doesn't you can't slow down. It's easy to spin the tires. Like it doesn't do anything good. Where the Cup car, there's just a lot of grip, um, which everybody's really good. So that's the most difficult part is the competition. The car itself, I don't feel like I missed out just because they're so different.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a completely random one from Zach Fuller. Do you still play Bus Derby? You mentioned it on 12 questions last year.
I do, yeah. I do it when either I forget to download stuff for YouTube or Netflix or whatever, and that's my go-to. I have nothing to watch. I have nothing to do. I have no service, and then that's what I do to kill
You
time.
should get into Minesweeper because you can reload the Minesweeper board when you have no service.
This is an old lady question. What exactly is Bus Derby? I'm
I don't
guessing
know
it's a
either.
game. It's a
It's just
game
an
on your
iPhone
phone?
game, yeah.
Okay. I'm aging myself. Okay. All right. This question is from Lou Creates. And he wants to know if you could design your ideal hat, any shape or material, what would it be? So if you guys are new to Mike's Are Hot or new to Carson's career, he would always come out in these cool hats, like, and tailor it for whatever weekend the theme, whatever he was driving or the theme of the weekend. So if you could design your ideal hat, any shape or material, what would it be?
I mean, I like the trucker rope style hats. Um, either kind of like the one I'm wearing or like I know Larson, like Hendrick's pretty big on those. Um,
Throwback.
I like those type of hats the best for sure, just because they kind of look the best to me. Like I like the rope look. It's just clean and adds at least something. Where the other
Yeah.
hat, kind of look boringish a little bit. But maybe that's just because I'm so used to the weirdest hats ever that I need at least something to look cool.
Well, you've been keeping us very busy with your all-star campaign videos that we've all been enjoying. And we're going to North Wilkesboro this weekend for the all-star race. And you've been campaigning to get the fan vote to get in, they're so cool to see. I'm so curious, have you been coming up with those skits or do you have like a team behind you helping you with that?
No, it's just basically me with the ideas. Yeah, obviously I have people that would be able to edit and put it together and everything, but and people I asked about the ideas, but I was the one that initially was like, yeah, this is the idea I got. This is what I want to do in film. So I yeah,
It's getting a lot of traction.
Yeah, I liked how it all turned out and whatnot. So I thought it was fun.
Yeah, there was. I was watching something on Fox on the grid, and I saw you in the background going like, "Vote for me."
Yeah.
Like, look at Carson. That's awesome.
I love that. That's so good. And you do have to get back to work. So we will let you go in a second. But I'm going to ask one final question, which is if you win the All Star vote, are you doing anything special? Do we get like a hat, a fire suit, an anything? Are you going to do something big online? How do you celebrate winning this fan vote?
Paint scheme.
No,
Paint scheme. That's a lot.
our paint scheme looks good already with Gamebridge and the NASCAR Foundation and everything. But I mean, once we get into the race, I think hopefully we can run well enough that's exciting enough.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us on Mics Are Hot, Carson.
Thank you so much, Carson.
What a treat it was to get to talk to fellow peanut butter and jelly enthusiast, Carson Hocevar.
Who knew, right? So that's his go-to after a race. That's generally my go-to before a race.
Oh no, you're on fruit right now, Monica.
I really am.
You're lying to yourself. You are on the last month of pregnancy fruit kick right now.
Yeah, Mama needs some hydration. But no, it was exciting to talk to him. We got some insight on, even how the taller drivers are able to race in other cars or other series, or if they can immediately. And we learned some new things about that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I experience this when I review cars for my job because I just review cars for a living. Sometimes you're too tall or too big or too whatever to fit in a seat and it's less comfortable. I sometimes have situations where I get in a car where the seat bolsters are too tight because they're built for more square hips and I get in and my hips don't fit very well. So it was interesting to relate to someone on not fitting in the seat as well.
Yeah. And it's a big week for Carson coming up. So, the All-Star race in North Wilkesboro is happening. A truly historical track, right? And a rookie who's making a great campaign for himself. It would be really cool for him to get the fan vote.
It would be really cool for him to get the fan vote. And, I think when you try that hard, you deserve to at least be at the top of the running, right? Because he's trying really hard. He is out there, literally door to door campaigning, door to door online campaigning for these votes. And that's just a really fun development we've seen in recent years.
Yeah, he's putting himself out there even during a live interview on network. He's ruining their interview in the background going, vote for me. I mean, he is truly putting himself out there. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out here in a few days if he gets the fan vote. And if you guys want to go to all his social links, he can tell you where to go to vote for him.
Oh, yes, exactly. So, Monica, last little conversation before we sign off here on Mics Are Hot. How are we feeling about the All-Star race? You are watching it from home, just like me.
Oh, it's going to be so weird not being there. I'm excited for it, right? This is a non-points race, but there's a lot of money on the line at a historical track. You feel like you've taken a step back in time. They still have the original front stretch grandstand seating, which it's just so cool to see.
Love
and
that.
And they have tons of concerts. You can walk everywhere. There's some places where you have to have a golf cart or it's just so big or overwhelming. But this place, I don't know. It's tucked away in the foothills of North Carolina on your way to the mountains. It's beautiful. So hopefully there's a big turnout there.
Oh, I love that. I wish I could go. Unfortunately, this weekend I have to go review cars. It's not unfortunately. I'm excited to go review cars, but I just wish that we're on a different weekend so I could go to North Wilkesboro. But hey, it is what it is. We have responsibilities. I'll go to North Wilkesboro eventually.
Oh, yeah. You just add it to your list. When you come, hey, in May of next year, you can knock out all these local tracks around here.
I should. I feel like that's what I should do because, I think it was 2 years ago, I was there on Coke 600 weekend. And funny enough, I actually scheduled my flight to go home after the Xfinity race on Saturday because I wanted to be able to watch Monaco, Indy, and Coke 600 just back to back to back on TV.
That's understandable. But Charlotte Motor Speedway does play.
They play I learned that afterwards. Yes. So I just would have stayed because I didn't know. I was like, oh, well, I got to go watch it on TV.
Yep. So if you're at the track,
I learned that they play it. And I was like,
on the
well,
big screen. So yeah, you won't miss anything.
I should have just stayed. But hey,
next time.
next time, because this year we're going to the Indy 500 again, and I'm excited. It's my husband's
Right.
first Indy 500, and the Indy 500 is just such a unique atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for him to experience that for the first time and just like see the spectacle. It's gonna
Yeah.
be cool.
I can't wait to see your social media waves. And that race is on my list too. I've never been to an Indy 500. So
Highly recommend. It's a
yeah.
good race. Highly recommend. Highly recommend Le Mans when they just like they play the really dramatic music at the beginning of Le Mans and you're like, oh, they're about to go. You know, there's things you gotta hit.
It's a
And those are a
goosebump
couple of them.
moment.
It is. It is. You know, I was asked the other day because I have a friend who's going to Le Mans this year, and they were like, "What should I do? What's something I do while I'm there?" And I said, "Go in the forest in the middle of the track because it's an 8.5-mile track, and if you're in the middle of the forest, you don't even know there's a race going on
Oh,
because you
wow.
can't hear it." And I was like, "That's what you got to go do. Get in the middle of the woods."
That's
And they were
cool.
like, "That's weird." But there are just so many different things you can do, and North Wilkesboro is so up there for me. You know, just it's one of those bucket lists where I have to go to North Wilkesboro. So I'm gonna try to block off that weekend
There you
next year.
go.
I gotta
Yes.
go. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. But
Well,
what a fun day. What a treat it is to talk to you. What a treat it was to have Carson Hocevar here. And thank all of you for listening to Mics Are Hot on Racing America. We appreciate you. We love you. And we'll see you next time. Bye.